Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I was thinking about something, man. I was watching some footage of some individuals who were going back and forth with one another, and they was trying to make points, trying to get their point across. But it became a situation where I started seeing like a whole lot of what looked like you just cussing somebody out, right? But it's a difference, I guess you can say, and it becomes a situation where you cross a line between just cussing somebody out and then starting to like display mental abuse. Um, Verbal abuse is the word I'm trying to come to. Verbal abuse. You start displaying verbal abuse. It's a difference, you know what I mean? And when it's two grown men arguing, I mean, it's whatever. Whatever comes out of my mouth, it can get to a higher level if it ain't just words. So words can't do but so much. But I think the part of it that deserves, I guess, a little conversation on this channel here is just the notion that there does become a point where you cross over from being just angry and using your mouth to make that clear to a point where you're displaying a certain level of pain that comes out through your words, and that pain is aggressive and desires to inflict that same pain on someone else. You know what I mean? And a lot of times you see it uh, in relationships. You know what I mean? And in situations like marriages and long-term relationships, or even short-term relationships, or relationships that are not as serious, but particularly, I think about myself when I was younger. I was in a relationship where it didn't work out, but we were trying to figure it out. And during the process of trying to figure it out, um, there were times where we would get on the phone and the conversation would be terrible because, there was resentment there, and and sometimes words were said in ways that were meant to be cruel. You know what I mean? They were meant to hurt. It wasn't just a point where you're trying to communicate, but y'all are using your words to try to, go below the belt constantly to try to, inflict a certain level of pain, and when you get to a point where you realize that you're doing that, it becomes so toxic. You have to reel it in before you say something that you don't mean, or reel it in before you end up doing real long-term damage. And I just think that it's important to know that. I learned that I had that trait when I'm hurt. What I mean? When my feelings or emotions are hurt, my heart is broken. I found myself becoming someone like that, who would sit on the phone and just say certain things that weren't meant to do anything but make you feel what it is that I felt you made me feel. And it wasn't cognizant of other aspects of the situation that may have been affected by those words, or may have been caused by myself. And it's an important aspect of that, particularly in relationships, when you're being that way, to look inward, because sometimes there are things that you may cause that will make it so that it will get to that point. And a lot of times, um, a lot of minds only know how to look at at others and what they're doing to them, rather than be aware of what it is that they're causing with their actions and their energy. So that's something I wanted to just kind of weigh in on vaguely. You know what I mean? It's nothing too serious. I don't want to bring up old stuff. This is not a therapy video or nothing like that. Um, Nor did I particularly want to talk about what I saw online, because it wasn't that serious to me. It was just an argument between two grown men. But it became very clear to me that someone's feelings were hurt. And then I started seeing that same energy that I had when I used to speak the way that I did to my ex. In the way that these individuals, this one individual was addressing that other individual. Now, granted, they don't have nothing in that way that I was aware of, and I don't think that was the dynamic there. But what I'm saying is, somebody was hurt. And another person was trying to make it the person who was hurt was trying to make it very clear that through their words, that they wanted to inflict pain, below the belt pain. So that's where my head went. I'm just like, you know what? I remember that trait. I remember that. I remember feeling that way. I remember feeling better the more pain I thought I was inflicting with my words. And that's something you want to fend off. That's not a good thing. That's not something that can help you in any way in regards to your relationships. That is not going to keep your spouse with you, or make them feel like they're in a safe space with you. And that's something that it's a bad trait. You know what I mean? To be an abuser of the mind or a verbal abuser of anything of that nature, regardless of what you think has happened to you, once you start doing that, you then verify that you've deserved what just happened to you. You know, and that's I referred to that same type of thing in a different video in regards to a different topic, but karma comes early, I think is what I referred to. It's like that sometimes, to where something bad happens to you and then all of a sudden you turn into the worst human being in the world. It's like, no, karma came early. it was what happened to you that made you this way, but it was also what you deserved for what you were about to become. I think at the end of the day, we need to, you know, look inward a lot of times. And maybe sometimes the things that happen to you that make you feel that way, you look inward, you find nothing. It wasn't your fault. Everything you did, you were supposed to do. And that's why you're so bitter. And that's all that you're able to see. But even so, it gets to a point where you just have to remove yourself from the circumstance entirely if possible, because at the end of the day, all you're going to do is run in your own energy, provide your own karma, you know, being negative in that way, you know, being abusive, being verbally abusive or what have you. And, you know, that's where I wanted to kind of go with that. It's like, don't ruin your own energy just because you're involved in something that is toxic, that has hurt you. Now you want to inflict that pain on another person, you can do a lot of damage. And when you're doing that, keep in mind that a lot of times you end up doing things that hurt other people that you don't intend to hurt, just in the name of trying to hurt that person. It will affect others, especially in a situation where, obviously, if you're in a relationship and you have children, something like that, it does reverberate across the entire household if you're doing what you need to do to make you feel better in the name of hurting your spouse. So that's what I gotta say, man. That doesn't help the situation, just makes it worse. You know, and it just reminded me, watching this on TV or rather watching this on my phone and just paying attention to what it is, reminds me that there's more for me to do in terms of my own inner being and my inner demons. You know what I mean? Is to address those things and be honest about those things, and just, you know what I mean? Don't walk into a situation that's gonna make me feel that way before getting those things worked out. I think that's another aspect of it. You gotta take care of home before you involve yourself in anything that stressful or that pressurized. I think a lot of times people want it so bad to be either in a relationship or in close friendships, or, you know, if the situation ain't that serious, involved in something highly stressful, and then they get in situations where these things occur and they can't handle themselves in those stressful situations. You got to know who you are before you walk into the room. You know what you will stand for, what you want, all those different things that are said in cliche, they apply, because that can determine whether or not you'll be able to enjoy the consequences of whatever it is that you experience. You know, you take on too much, bite off more than you can chew. All of those type of things do apply to these type of things, especially to relationships and friendships and things of that nature, when you haven't straightened out certain things beforehand. So I guess that's something, you know, to think about. They say the time you spend alone is the time you're supposed to spend working on yourself, and I firmly believe that. So yeah, do that before involving yourself in anything like this. So anyway, that's what I gotta say, man. You know, obviously the conversation did not stem about anything in regards to a relationship, but at the same time, a lot of times when people are verbally abusive, it does take place in those type of situations after someone's been cheated on or something like that. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. My name is BDF44. Thank y'all for watching.